folks, here we go with another little video about some animal encounters with wild animals. Actually, if I could dig up my other phone and charge it, oh, I got a lot of pictures and I got so many interesting stories uh, on my relationships with wild animals in the past. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you a little bit of stuff from the Keys first. Yeah, join me on this journey. Let's check some of this stuff out. I think you'll enjoy it. Like I said, first I'm going to take you to the Keys to a place that's my favorite snorkeling spot where you can get to from shore. You know, some of the reefs are better, but as far as somewhere you can get from the shore in the Keys, it's one of the best kept secrets in the Upper Keys, and it's right behind the Isla Mirada Library. And I tell you, it's a wild story. On the other side of this thing, I'll get to the pictures and everything in just a minute, but on the other side of this, my buddy and I, we would dive down underneath the mangroves. You know, we've done that in a lot of places because sometimes you'll find where the water might lead up into the island. And sure enough, we did there. And what we found is that it came up and it was basically like a little stream that cut through this uninhabited island there. And I noticed an old spear shaft in there. And as I got in, oh, this thing, in some places, it was maybe only 4 or 6 feet wide. Never very deep, never more than about 3 feet deep, very shallow, 3.5 feet. And all of a sudden, you just come to where there was nothing but mangrove snappers. I mean, as you're diving, they're just all over you, and every one of them's got his fin straight up. Like, what are you doing here? And man, it's one of their sanctuaries. I've never seen that many mangrove snappers in one area. And they don't call them snappers for nothing. They will bite you. In fact, that's why I think that spear shaft was there, because somebody thought he'd be a smart aleck one day and thought he had an easy target and shot one, and he probably got attacked. And so anyway, let's go to that. And then I think from there, we're just going to jump right on to, well, let's go check this out. All righty. Here we go. Yep, this is my favorite spot in the Keys to go snorkeling, because you can come right off the shore over there along those mangroves. There's so many different kinds of large fish. It's amazing. I've seen sharks come swimming through here. But the thing is, you go snorkeling here, you see all kinds of sea life. It's really neat, some of what I've experienced here. I'm right here at the park behind the library. My dog used to love this place. It used to go out into these grasses. It would corral the fish into the sandy areas here and then catch them. She used to love coming here, just like me. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, let me take you to a really neat place called Hog Heaven, which is also in Isla Mirada, not that far from this place. I used to often go there for lunch because they had great lunches, and you could always look down in the water next to the restaurant. There was always lots of large fish. If you look at I guess one of the pictures there where it's looking out at the water, off to the left, it's like a little peninsula out there. And what I do is a lot of times I built a mansion right down the street from there. That's where I got the arsenic poisoning. So I ate there a lot. But in the summer, what I would do is my dog and I would order some food, and we would go jump in the water and swim, and then I would sit there and eat at the outdoor restaurant overlooking the water. Beautiful place. And my dog always did love fish. She was fascinated by them, loved to chase them and everything. But one day I was there, and there was a huge barracuda, and he was just, facing up at me. And the thing is, oftentimes barracudas, they have their mouth a gap a little bit. It's open, and you could see their teeth. So my dog was still pretty young, and I said, "Come here, girl, come here, look at the fishies." And she ran up, stuck her head through that railing, and when she saw that cuda looking at her with his teeth showing, oh man, did she ever backtrack? She took like 3 steps back real quick, because, to a dog, showing of teeth is a sign of aggression. So let me take you here to Hog Heaven. You'll see the place, you'll see the plane in it, you'll see the water, see some fish, and then from there I'll take you to another restaurant that's really good that my friend started, and now it's so huge. Wow, and what a great place. When I've taken my parents there, they say that's their favorite restaurant. But there's fish all over there too, and I was actually there eating one day. No, it was at another place. But one of the waiters had a line in the water, and he caught a huge strawberry grouper, while the place was packed. So a lot of customers came in. They said, "Are you going to cook that? Can we order that?" Man, they sold that whole grouper in no time. But anyway, that's how it is in the Keys. Fresh fish everywhere. So let's get back to the videos. Okay. Here I'm at Hog Heaven, one of my good old hangouts. Speaking of hangouts, look at all the fish hanging out down here. My dog used to love to come here and eat and check out the fish because it always did like fish. Pretty wild, huh? Okay, we got through the fish. Let's go now to something that actually fish eat sometimes, and sometimes these things eat fish. And what I'm talking about is birds. But before we go there, I'll tell you another couple interesting stories. I've caught a lot of birds by hand, wild birds. I've caught pelicans on several times. I've caught a dove. That's all I can think of right now. 2 pelicans, a dove. But I'll tell you what, one evening while I was sitting there in the Keys, I was fishing at my buddy's place off of a houseboat. And he had a raccoon that I'd given him. I found it when it was real young, and the mother never would come back and get it. It had been covered with fire ants, but it lived. And anyway, I'm going to my truck to get something, and I stopped to pet the raccoon and say hello. And out of the darkness, while I'm there with the raccoon, this seagull, a huge pelican just starts walking to me at night now. You're not expecting this. And he walked towards me a little bit, in one direction, and he'd look at me, and I'd start talking to him, and he'd walk a little more towards me, and I'd talk to him, and he just kept coming, and finally I said, "Well, what do you want? What you want, boy?" And he lifted up his wing, and there was a fish hook with fishing line in it. So I went over, and I said, "Oh, is that what you want?" And he just stayed there and let me take it out. I talked to him, and patted him on the head, and he hung around a little bit. I went back fishing. Yeah, I've done the same with, had to jump in the water once to take a fish hook out of a manatee. They're some wonderful creatures. I've ridden on their backs many times, fed them much. They love water. We won't get into that. Let's get back to this video. A few things on birds. And by the way, we had one bird we found, a wild bird, in 1969. It had been hit by a car down in Central America. It was hurt, ended up, having a messed up foot the rest of its life, but we raised it. And, man, we got that thing in 1969. It was already full grown, and it just passed away a couple of years ago. So they live a long time, and birds are very intelligent. But in this first one, it's going to be a sandpiper. And this thing, my truck had broke down. I was doing a job out of town, and I called this mechanic, was waiting for the mechanic to show up. And this bird shows up instead. And, the more I talked to it, the closer he kept getting to me. He was like checking it out. All right, so go ahead. Let's check these out here real quick. Okay, now we're going to get into some reptiles and amphibians. But before I do, I wanted to point out that at my buddy's ranch where I stay from time to time, a couple of times a year, good, just total getaway place. A lot of wild animals come through there, and because it's out in the middle of nowhere, and he's got 10 acres cleared where you have good visibility and surrounded by woods. But anyway, a big flock of sandpipers used to fly there every day. Now they're actually normally, I've seen where they approach people who treat them friendly. They're fairly approachable because they're large and they're not that afraid. Oh yeah, they used to peck the hogs. When we feed them with the hogs, boy, if the hog wanted to get rowdy or something, man, that one of them jokers would peck the hog, and they'd be like, "Hey, okay, I'm not messing with you." But anyway, what happened is a flock of them landed one day, and my buddy Mark was staying at the ranch at the time, and they all took off except for two, and they hung around out there. And Mark happened to notice them again, and noticed one was having a problem, and he went out, and the thing had a broken leg. So Mark took it, brought it in, mended up his leg, and put a splint on it, and kept it there for a long time. But the thing is, see, birds like generally fall in love for life. And he had the male. We're assuming it was the male, yes, that he had in the house. But the female never did leave. She stayed there the whole time while the male was recuperating. So, since we had feed corn and other things, it would get fed every day. It would actually come and eat out of your hands. I do have pictures of that too on another phone. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of other ones. I'll try to get some of those to you. But like I said, now let's get into some reptiles and amphibians. All righty, let's go. Okay, before we go further, I want to stop it just for a second. This snake was beautiful. It was an indigo. I mean, it just was like fluorescent bluish colors all in the black. Just a gorgeous snake. And it must have just eaten something because you could see, it's hard to see in the photo, he had a big lump in it. But the thing is, that snake was discovered by one of my squirrels, which I'm going to show you a picture of one of my squirrels here shortly. And he happened to be in the house. The storm door was open, and all of a sudden something alerted him. He might have heard other squirrels. He pays attention to those things. I wasn't. And all of a sudden he goes and he peeks underneath my storm door, and he takes off running and making all this noise. And you'll hear him in the video, and you'll see why he ran. It's because of what he saw. And if you listen in the video, you'll hear him in the background continuously giving warnings. But man, snakes is something I've had all kinds of encounters with all types, poisonous and non-poisonous. Used to catch them a lot. I generally don't bother catching them anymore. There's not really any challenge or anything. If it was one to move it somewhere, okay, or yeah, if it needed to be gotten out of somewhere, like a school called me once to go get 3 boas out of there in Central America. Yeah, or if maybe one was valuable, then I might do it, but probably not. Only if they need to be relocated. But so let's get on with this. Now, this was in front of my house, and I found 2 other snakes at my door before, including a 3-foot coral snake, which I mentioned in here. And then we're going to go to the next video, was a little wild animal that we found inside the house at my daughter's house with my grandchildren. All right, let's go check them out.
Got another snake out here. I was wondering why the squirrel took off and they're up there hollering. Can you see it right there? Oh, he's nice and fat. He's been eating good, haven't you, snake? Yeah, you checking me out and I'm checking you out, huh? Yeah, you pretty thing. You fat. Look at all them nice colors. That's pretty. Yeah, let's see that tongue. Come on, stick your tongue some more. You got some wild looking eyes. Look at you. It'll be raining soon. Is that your hole right there? Is that your hole right there? Here over? Uh-oh, here comes the rain. Huh? Let's see that tongue. What are you gonna do? You just checking me out, huh? Checking you out. Like I say, right there, you're pretty fat in the middle, huh? You've been finding some things on the golf course, I bet you, huh? Yeah. Here's the 3rd snake I found here on my sidewalk. Yeah, one was a big coral snake right in front of the driveway. I mean, the doorway. Like a 3-footer. That's rare. They usually don't get that big. Not that I've seen it, no. Okay, you're not even checking me out with your tongue anymore? Can you show your tongue to the camera? No? All right. Well, we're done.
Okay, folks, now this next one, this happened at a friend of mine's house in Miami, who I often visit, occasionally stay there, and sometimes he's here, and we've worked together. Anyway, I'm a good friend with the family. But what happened? We're sitting on the porch, and we'd been talking to the neighbor. She was out washing her cars, and she walked into the house, and she come out screaming bloody murder. So we go running over there, and what it was, this animal here had gotten into her house. Oh, and she was freaking out. So Robert was able to chase it out. Well, when he did, it ran towards his house, and it wasn't that far from his front door. And Robert made a mistake by panicking and rushing up, thinking it was going to run into the house. And sure enough, because Robert scared it, it saw it as its escape, and it ran into the house. And this house is full of all kind of things. So it was, put it this way, wasn't easy to find him and get him out. And then we get him out, and here's what happened. Now, I got to tell you, though, in this, I did not like what he was doing when he was kicking it. And I even said something to him off camera about it. And the thing finally attacked him and almost got him. But I want you to know, no animals were really hurt. And the making of this video, when it was done, I took this thing, I put him up a tree. He was glad to see me because I hadn't done him any harm. It was the others who were after him. So he was pretty cool with me. I took him, put him up in a tree, made his attackers go away, and I stood there and petted him and talked to him. And I actually have pictures of that somewhere on one of my phones too. All right, let's get back to it. Let me show you what happened here in Miami.
Get it, Nino, get it. Get it, get it.
Ooh, look at the mouth on that
Get
thing.
it, Nino.
Look at them. He gonna
Yeah,
bite
yeah.
you. He gonna bite you.
Get it, Nino, get it.
Watch out.
Get it, Nino, get it, Nino. Get it, Nino. Get it, Nino. Get it. Get it, Nino, get it. Get it, get it. Come on, get him. Hey. Get it, Nino, get it.
Ooh. Ooh, I might have missed that part in the camera.
Get it, Nino, get it. Get it better. Get him better. Get him better.
Get some close-ups. Now he's gonna come and attack you, man. But get your toe. He's gonna get that toe. What?
Get it, Nino. Get it.
You don't want to get involved, huh? Gonna get you. Gonna get you.
All right, now, let me take you a little further north in Florida, and then up to St. Augustine. I want to show you a couple of relatives of this little guy from Miami. All right, let's just let it go at that. Yeah, these are his big brothers, so to speak. Okay, and when I say relatives, that's in quotation marks, okay? Yep, I don't believe in evolution. All right, check this out.
Chicken.
Whole food items. Let's see what we got on the menu for today. Oh, yum, my favorite. It looks like today we have some nice big fat chicken.
Okay. You saw those gators, I tell you. I've had some close run-ins with them. Ooh, a couple of the biggest adrenaline rush experiences I've ever had were due to some of those. But there's another animal that it dawned on me just a few minutes ago that actually kills more men than any animal in the United States. Yeah, and it's funny. I've never really heard it listed in the animal statistics. But yeah, think about it. This animal kills more men than any other animal. And I tell you, a lot of times when it doesn't kill men, it drives them insane with their poison. But the thing is, if you have one that's domesticated, that's been brought up right and everything, oh man, they can be wonderful for you. They can be very helpful. Yeah. And but you gotta love them and cherish them. So let me show you what this next beast is, and I'll get back with you. I hope you're kind and gentle with those animals and treat them with respect, or I tell you what, they say hell hath no scorn like the fear of a woman. Well, that's not quite true, but wow. Yeah, it can be pretty close. But, you also have to be careful of certain ones of them. Some are worse than others, especially the ones that got horns. Because when they get horny, ooh, they really will try to allure you. So be careful, don't you get snared. You make sure you find one that's from the Lord, okay? And let me show you what I mean. Be really careful. I mean, they look friendly enough a lot of times, but just be careful. Now, did you see that? Looked harmful enough, didn't it? But you know what? Man, they got a lot of weapons that they can use against you. So, like I said, you better treat those animals with gentleness and kindness, and be careful for the bad ones. The Bible will give you discernment. Proverbs chapter 31 will tell you a whole lot about what a good woman should be. Proverbs chapter 31. I'm not going to go into all that here. This video's more for entertainment a little bit. But now, some women are worse, man. Like I said, their weapons, oh boy. And, they got bait, So you just have to be able to overcome temptation and find you the right one, one that has been brought up properly, or if, better yet, if you can bring one up yourself together from youth, that's even better. But yeah, some of these can really be bloodsuckers and take the life right out of you. Let me show you what I mean. Really be careful. You definitely don't want to get boxed in with the wrong woman. God says be ye equally yoked. In other words, you're a Christian, you better find you a good Christian woman. Because I tell you what, otherwise those animals, like I said, if they're not brought up right, they can be very dangerous. Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to know them too. And yeah, don't. Yeah, you need a woman that wasn't beguiled by this next animal. Yeah, because the female of our species was tricked by this next animal. And because of that, now, instead of, I'm going to get into a video on some of this stuff later. It's very interesting. But now we got a water the fields with the sweat off our brow, and they have to raise children in sorrow and travail because they listen to this next animal. Yeah, but the two of you can help save each other. God says, nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. And he says things like, blessed is the man who finds a wife, and he shall obtain favor from the Lord. But God also in the scriptures does give you warnings that if you're doing wrong and going down the wrong path, he's going to give you that wrong wife. So you better fear the Lord, know what the Lord says, read your Bible. Okay, so I want to go ahead and end this on a good note. I have squirrels that come in here every day. They eat out of my hand. In fact, just today, one had began jumping right up here on the edge of my armchair, but he would jump back down. But I'll lean over here and I'll put a bunch of sunflower seeds or something in my hand, and I'll roll them out and hold one, like in the tip of my hand like this. And I see, there's a bunch of sunflower seeds right here. And actually, I was looking for my Squirrel Whisperer t-shirt that my mother gave me, because the other squirrel that used to come in before that one chased away would sit right up here on the arm of my chair, or would sit right in my lap, and I could sit here and pet it, and I could grab her ears and rub them, pick up her paws, rub her belly. She loved to be scratched, just above her tail, because they have a hard time getting her, just like a dog does. She'd be pushing back so far, I'd tell her, girl, come on, you're going to fall off the chair. And I'd have to be pushing her forward. Same thing when she was in my lap. And most of the time I'd be steadily feeding her. But I don't want to get into too much of that. I just want to show you a picture of that one. And I have a couple little videos on my other channel with some animals. But I'm going to have some good videos with the squirrels that come around here soon. Yeah, I'll probably have to use my phone to do it. But yeah, I'll try to get you some. This thing, now it's getting tamer and tamer. Today I went into the kitchen, and the thing came in the house and followed me into the kitchen, was standing all around behind me like, hey, what you making now, And yeah, he's getting pretty tame. He's still, for some reason, scared of my toes. And the way I made friends with this other one, I got her where she'd come in, you make a trail, and you leave the seeds or nuts or whatever you got further and further. And I got them coming to the door and into the house and further into the house, and, talk to them, try to make them feel safe. But the other one used to always be scared of my toes. And if I wiggle my toes, usually I'd have socks on, but if I wiggled my toes, she would run. Well, this new one now, Rascal, he does the same thing. Oh, but here's what the other one did. She was smart. I would go, watch this, Frankie. Watch this when I wiggle my toes. And I'd do it, and she would run away from her seeds, and she'd, slowly come back and get them, be looking at my toes. And I go, watch this, Frankie. I'm going to wiggle my toes. Well, I think she got to know what I was saying. And she didn't like me messing with her like that. So after she got done eating her seeds, before we became real good friends, and I know she didn't mean bad out of this. She's just trying to teach me a lesson. She run over and grabbed hold of my big toe with her teeth and just let her teeth kind of slide along the edge. Like, you know what? I could bite you if I wanted to. Gee. But the next thing I knew, she was climbing up on me. She'd get in my lap, and we were good buddies. But let me just show you a picture of her. And like I said, she would come here. She would eat real good. She'd get a massage. So I'm going to end it with this. I'm just going to... I have a lot of videos of her on one of my other phones, and of a lot of other encounters with wild animals. But I don't know. Those are some of my old phones. I'll see if I get a chance to dig them up. But meanwhile, just take a picture of my old squirrel here. I could tell you a lot of wild stuff about her. This was Buddha Belly. And then I'm going to show you a picture of her after. She was free to come and go as she wanted. And after she'd get all fed, get her massage, her petting, her grooming. Sometimes I put medicines on her. I want to show you what she looked like after she got her pedicure and all the food, okay? And I hope this makes you smile, and I hope you enjoyed this. But check out what she looked like, and I hope that you look like this too at the end of this video.